Hey, this is Derika and welcome to the Happiness Recipe Summit, where top experts are revealing their secret ingredients so you can create your own recipe for happiness. And today's vital ingredients is conquering that all or nothing mindset and learning how to take baby steps, focusing on the step we're in so we can truly create our goals and dreams. So I'm very excited to announce our guest expert and get into all the nuggets of gold she's going to share here today. Today's expert is a Kundalini Yoga instructor and an Enneagram teacher. She's the author of 2 books combining these systems. Lynn did a major life shift in 2012, moving from San Francisco, California to Athens, Greece, and leaving her finance career behind to focus on her passions, which is Kundalini Yoga and Enneagram. She writes about living in Greece and tools for change and transformation. Welcome, Lynn. Welcome, welcome.
Thank
Can you
you
hear me?
very much. Yeah.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you for being here. I got a little glitch in the system, but you're back on. All right, hon. So can you jump on
Okay.
in and share a little bit more of your story and how it led you to becoming a Kundalini instructor and an Enneagram teacher?
Yeah. So when I back the story way up, the beginning of the journey was actually a relationship breakup. So I was living with Ding and I was having a hard time with it. And his friend saw me suffering and said, "Have you thought about trying Kundalini Yoga?" And I had never even heard of Kundalini Yoga. I would not have characterized myself as a yoga person. I was more a surfer and a triathlete and a runner. I thought yoga was kind of boring, but I was struggling enough that I was open. And so I went to my first Kundalini Yoga class in 2007. And I was very unclear what it was. It was chanting. The teacher was all in white with a white turban. I was a little confused, but I felt really good after the class, really stable and really uplifted. So I remember leaving and thinking, I don't really know what just happened, but it worked and I'm going to do it again. So I started coming once a week to this teacher's class in San Francisco on 9 o'clock on a Saturday morning. And I got through that difficult period. I started feeling better. I started becoming more curious about the technology of Kundalini Yoga. What is this? Why is it working? And so I kind of continued down that path. I eventually did teacher training, not to be a teacher, very explicitly not wanting to teach, but instead just wanting to learn more. And when I explained to my teachers at the beginning of training, I'm here to learn. I'm really not here to teach. I hope that's okay. They said, let's just wait and see what happens. In our experience, the people who come in wanting to teach by the end of training decide to take some time to kind of work on themselves or think about it. And the people who come in not wanting to teach, those become the teachers. And I'm like the poster child for that. So it's exactly what happened. I felt like by the end of Kundalini Yoga teacher training, I'd gotten so much out of it. I wanted to share that with other people. So I went on to become a Kundalini Yoga teacher.
Wow. And how did the Enneagram come on into that picture?
Yeah. Enneagram was something that had been in a book. I saw an Enneagram book and I liked the cover. I'd never heard of the system, but I was curious. I bought the book. I brought it home. I started reading the 9 different types kind of in order, thinking maybe I'm this, maybe I'm that. I got to my type. I'm a type 7. And I remember thinking like, that were happening in my life at that time. So I became a fan. And the way I describe it is the Enneagram, it's like if you can imagine that you're lost in the woods and you're trying to find your way out, the Enneagram gives you a really specific and detailed map of where to go, but it doesn't give you any of the supplies. Kundalini Yoga gives you all of the supplies, but doesn't tell you where to go. So if you've got the two systems working together, suddenly you've got a great map, suddenly you've got all the supplies you need, and you can really make that journey. And that journey is kind of back to yourself. It's to your higher self, your true essence, and kind of being who you are, like being who you are and kind of following your destiny while you're here on planet Earth. So
Wow,
that's what I teach.
I love that. It's amazing. So as your journey is unfolding here, it kind of like breadcrumb one to the next. You found one big missing piece, which led you didn't even know, had no idea that you were going to be this amazing teacher of this information, which then led you to another book, which was like that other perfect puzzle piece of this bigger picture.
Yeah.
That now you have been the pioneer of like putting these two beautiful modalities together, right? That is just making so much
Yeah.
clarity.
Yeah, and I almost can't underscore enough how much it was almost like I didn't want this. Like I didn't want to be a Kundalini yoga teacher, and I'm a CPA, so I'm a trained finance professional, and I would pursue my Enneagram training at night after work. And I remember at one point sitting in the basement of a church, kind of doing the Enneagram training after I'd worked all day, and thinking to myself like, why are you here? Like, what are you doing? But there was something in me that really wanted it, that really was very, very curious. And now, with retrospect, years later, I completely understand how all those pieces fit together. But at the time I didn't know, I just knew what I was enjoying and what was working for me, and I kept doing more of that. So,
Yeah, that's perfect because this is what it's all about. Our whole interview right now is we're the knowingness that we don't really know in the moment what's about to happen or how this is unfolding. But like you said, in retrospect, it was crystal clear, but in the moment, it may not look like that, right? Doesn't you're like, what?
absolutely.
That is so cool. And even your story, I think I've heard this a lot of times with experts and great leaders all over the world that they had no idea. Like this wasn't felt like it was in their cards, at all. They didn't see this coming. They were trying to like go against it, but bam, here they are. I think we all have stories in our lives where we didn't think we were going to be a mom or we didn't think we were going to, get married or like whatever. It's like bam. Yes, you are. That is so, so cool. For the folks that have never heard of, let's say, Kundalini, that part of yoga, can you explain what Kundalini yoga is? And then we're going to move that into exactly what Enneagram is, because I had never heard of that until you. I have never heard of that. So if you can kind of break those down for us.
Absolutely. So Kundalini Yoga is called the yoga of awareness, and the way it was sort of described to me is yoga in its original form is a technology for enlightenment. So it's here to help us access our higher. When yoga came to the West, a lot of those kind of mind training pieces, the meditation, that got dropped off. And we've been focusing more on the asanas, the physical practice, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But Kundalini Yoga is going back more to the original intention, which is, okay, let's really learn to train your mind, because if you can quiet down your mind, that's when your soul, your higher self, can come forward. And in Kundalini Yoga, we do that a lot through working with the breath. So Kundalini Yoga is very focused on strengthening your nervous system and learning to breathe, and learning to have good breath control. So I describe the breath, it's like a muscle. And most of us just don't really use that muscle very much. But when you start to really focus on training your breath, suddenly you can begin to control your thinking. So, oh, I've got this repeating negative thought that I would really like to stop thinking about. If you've got good breath control, you can stop, you can redirect your thinking, and you can start to have just a different experience in life. So in a nutshell, that's what Kundalini Yoga, that's kind of the intention of it.
Okay, that makes such sense because we know of yoga. The average person, I would say, we think of it as like these beautiful stretches, and you got to hold, and there's balance and posture and like all this stuff, control. But now when you say Kundalini, it's like, oh, okay, so the mind, the whole spiritual practice of this and being mindful, conscious of the breath and all of that beautiful work that can take place. So it's not just about the physical, but it's bringing in the mindset. Okay.
Yeah, and just to kind of talk about what the format, if you were to go to a Kundalini yoga class, you would start and you would have the Kriya, which is the physical exercises. So the physical practice might last, let's say, 40 minutes. Then we take a long, deep relaxation, so usually 11 minutes. And the idea there is you've done all this good work with your body. Now you want to let your body heal. And 11 minutes is a great length of time to kind of do that deep healing. And all of this is really working up to the meditation. So the meditation is actually the meat of the practice. It's at the end, but that's kind of what we've been doing, the physical practice to get the body ready to be able to meditate. So just to say that, I talk about Kundalini yoga is the yoga for people who think or who worry, maybe I can't do yoga. Everyone can do Kundalini yoga because the starting position is always your breath. So I say, if you can breathe, you can do Kundalini yoga. And I've had people who were very sick. I've had people in wheelchairs. I've had people who were bedridden, who, were doing Kundalini yoga because we focused on, all right, let's get your breath muscles strengthened. And that was what we did. So it's accessible to everybody.
Absolutely. Okay. That's inspiring. That is super inspiring. You could do it in your chair. You could be mindful and access that powerful breath of life and still make subtle movements. And you're in Kundalini, which is this powerful.
I would say that I'd just be very careful. Kundalini yoga is very specific. So the kriyas are specific, the exercises are specific, the meditations are specific. So you might be doing a lot of mindfulness work, you might be doing breath work. I'm not sure that that would necessarily be Kundalini yoga, just because it is actually quite prescriptive. So.
Okay, got it. You need a guided professional for this, you guys.
Yeah, I mean, there's books, there's videos. Yeah, I would get guidance because, even as a teacher, like I followed the kriyas as they were passed down. It's not that you need someone at your side doing it, but it's not that every time you take a long, deep breath, that's necessarily doing a Kundalini yoga meditation. Some people would argue, yes, it is. Technically, that would be a conversation, I would say. So.
Yeah, no, I absolutely get that because as a clinical hypnotherapist, there's hypnosis audios online, and then there's actually going to go see a hypnotherapist and being guided by it. And although those two practices they're also very different, and there's different levels of it, right?
Yeah,
That is
yeah.
that is so cool. I hope we get to demo that today, you guys. That is awesome. Move us into Enneagram because this is so new for me, and I think for a lot of us, right? Or what is
Yeah.
that all about?
So the Enneagram is a system of human personality that helps to explain why I behave the way I do and why you behave the way you do, and how you and I might sit right next to each other and watch the exact same event happen, and you think that was amazing, and I think that was horrible. And we're both right because our mind is focused on different elements of what just happened. So the Enneagram says that your experience in life is largely dictated by where your attention goes. And it goes to one of 9 main places, and this is called your habit of attention. So it is not saying that you're not unique and individual. Of course you are. You have your own personal history. You've got your own, personality, your own emotional state, everything that's happened to you. That all stays unique. But I describe it's almost like what country of personality are you from? And the way that if you meet someone who's from a specific country, there are some cultural things that you will understand about them. The Enneagram is the same. So there are 9 basic places that your attention goes. And once you identify yours, suddenly you'll understand your motivation. That's why I do that thing I do. And I teach it as a tool for compassion because usually when you start to understand your own mental schema, you can be a little bit kinder to yourself. You don't have to fight with yourself anymore. It's like, this is the way I'm programmed. Now what do I do? So you can start to share your strengths and not your weaknesses instead of trying to be something that maybe you actually aren't. So it's a very, very powerful tool. I described it as, 9 habits of attention, but it's a very complex system. So there are all different levels. There's the 9 types, there are wings, there are subtypes, there's security points, expansion points, lots and lots of different elements to it. But in a nutshell, that's kind of what it is. People sometimes ask, where did it come from? It's an interesting, because what is this? So the actual symbol goes back thousands of years. You'll see it in Sufism, you'll see it in ancient Greece. They started to talk about the system in the 1920s with the Russian philosopher Gurdjieff. And then the 9 distinct personality types started being talked about in the 1950s and 60s. Ichazo was a spiritual teacher who had a school. He was teaching it. One of his students, Naranjo, took that information. Theoretically, this was a mystery school. Everything was supposed to be kept kind of secret. The secret leaked out. And then in the 70s and 80s, people started writing books about it. So it used to be this kind of cryptic secret technology or information that now everyone has access to. And you see it more and more in the business world, actually. So businesses are starting to see the value of it. They're using it for team dynamics to improve communication. Priests use it, psychologists use it, couples use it, individuals use it. You can use it as a psycho-spiritual growth tool to go all the way to enlightenment. You can use it just to try to get along better with your mother-in-law. I mean, it has a wide range of what can happen. So it kind of depends on what you want from it.
Oh, I love that. And so now that makes sense how, and a lot of these, I think, great modalities are kept secret for so long for whatever reason, whatever. But this one came out not so long ago, let's just say, what, 30, 40 years ago or so, that it was now here it is public and here it is in all these different readings. And so it usually takes us a long time before everyone kind of jumps on the wagon, right?
So just to say, I had a weird internal moment a few years ago when I was writing my second book, when I realized both of the systems that I've become trained in were secret technology until the 1970s. So Kundalini Yoga was the same, actually. It was taught in secret, and you had to have that master-disciple relationship until a teacher, a master of Kundalini Yoga named Yogi Bhajan, came to the West with the intent goal of teaching it openly, and that was in 1969 and 1970. So interestingly, both of these technologies kind of went public right at about the same time, although they're both really gaining popularity now, I think just because there's so much change in the world and everyone's looking for tools like how can I cope better, so.
Yes, and I believe there's no coincidences. This is definitely
It's
for
so
purpose,
interesting, yeah.
right? This is so cool.
Something's going on.
Something, you guys, these are tools we need to add in that pocket. That is so amazing. I love how businesses and even just like you said, anyone, it could be if you're just wanting to learn how to better get along with yourself or a family member, to actually companies are using it for how they're going to hire folks or who they're going to hire, right? I love that. It kind of reminds me of the Colby test that kind of breaks down. It's another kind of assessment, but this seems way more in depth than what I remember the other test being. So we're going to dive into that a little bit more too, and you guys are going to figure out how you can take that assessment. Am I right? There's a way to do that too. So let's go down into the problem here that I feel like so many of us suffer from is that kind of all or nothing. We have this. Well, you explain, give an example of that all or nothing mindset and like why so many of us suffer from it. Like why is that such a big deal for us?
Yeah. So I'll kind of start with the big example and then narrow down to a more specific example. So the big example is 8 years ago, 9 years ago, I was living in San Francisco, California, where I had lived for 15 years, working as a finance person, the career I'd had for over 15 years. And now, I'm here in Greece living a completely different life. And people look at that and they think that's amazing. How did you do it? And they've got a really romanticized idea that one day I just woke up and decided I'm going to move to Greece and I'm going to change everything. And I guess what I really want to keep underscoring is that's not what happened. It was very step by step by step. So first I started having the thoughts that I should come to Athens, Greece for a visit. I had no interest in moving. I was happy in San Francisco, but I had this strong pull to be in Athens. So I came for a month. I booked a 1-month trip. I told my clients I would work remotely. This was back in 2011. I did that. I had a good time. I decided, I'll do it again. Still not thinking that I would move. I did it again. Then I started thinking, okay, like, could I move? And so then I started putting those pieces together. When I moved here, I continued doing my finance career. So for 3 years, I'm living in Athens, but supporting my CPA clients back in California. And then slowly, it became clear to me, you've got to stop doing this also. And so I stopped and wasn't planning to write a book, but if you've got time, which I did, suddenly something's going to come up. And so I started thinking, I'm doing all these Enneagram typing interviews. I'm helping people figure out their type. Everyone asks me, what should I do next? It's like, I'm going to write a book and explain to them what to do next. So that was how the first book happened. And so it was very kind of step by step. That's the big example, but not everyone wants to move countries or change careers. On a much more modest level, but the exact same thinking, I started taking beach volleyball lessons 2 years ago. I'm in my 40s. I've never played beach volleyball in my entire life. I live in Greece. My Greek is not perfect, and I certainly don't know the vocabulary that you would need for beach volleyball. And so there'd be a lot of hurdles, a lot of reasons like why maybe I can't do this. And beach volleyball is tough. It's a very physically difficult. But what happened for me is I got very clear, I want to learn beach volleyball. That's my goal. I found where I was going to go. I signed up for the lessons and I stopped having the company of that. And every time when I've got my practice, I just think, okay, it's time to leave the house. And I leave the house. Now I've got to get to the train station. Okay, now I'm on the train. Now I have to get off the train. Now I have to do the first warm-up exercise. And I don't think too far in advance. If I thought about what the workout was going to be like and will I be able to keep up, maybe I'd become afraid and maybe I wouldn't go, but I don't let my mind do that. I have my mind just focus on what's the next step. And that's where all the focus is. And all your focus is on the next concrete step, suddenly, you're moving along. And I apply this to a lot. I've written 2 books. I've purchased and renovated 2 apartments here in Greece. Outside, it looks like I've done all this stuff, but if you break it down in my mind, it doesn't feel like that much because it's just a bunch of little steps that added all together become, these outcomes. I'm not figure out what you want and then start breaking it down into little kind of executable pieces and don't focus on all of it at once. Just focus on the next step right in front of you, the baby step.
Yes, that's so good to have like a visual as you're talking it out. We all do this. We set some really big goals, whether it's going to be a change in career or a move, anything like that. And we initially, this is kind of I feel like how we're all programmed in the beginning is we look at it over there and we're way over there looking at that thing and it's so daunting, it's so huge, but I gotta have it, like that's what I want and I gotta have this right now. And with that whole mindset, it stops us, right? It hinders us and we usually never even go the next step or we fail some place in the process, right? Because we're just trying to eat the whole elephant with one bite, which is just so insane.
It's like an internal confusion. And to, again, get specific, I moved to Athens, Greece in February of 2012. In December of 2010, I was hosting a holiday dinner at my apartment in San Francisco. A friend of mine said, would you ever move to Greece? And I said, absolutely not. Like, I don't want to move. Like, I'm like, no way. Like, I just want to go for a visit. So it's that thing where sometimes you don't even know. Like, all you know is what the next step should be. And like, don't try to see too far down the path. Just get really clear what does the next step need to be and let things unfold a little bit. I think sometimes we try to control too much, and especially in this environment, that's not going to work. You can control the little piece right in front of you to keep improving your situation, and maybe that's enough, as long as you keep moving forward.
Right. That's so good. So we have these programs of wanting to figure it all out now, right? We want to know the how. We want to have it all ready, like yesterday, and we want to control things, right? We're like wanting to control, and I think those things that's what creates that monster of that all of nothing. But if you sit with it, what I hear you saying is that we don't know what we don't know. I mean, we will never know the how. We don't know what's happening in a year or even tomorrow. Like that's not our job, right? We can't figure that one out. And if we let go of that, we by knowing, like you said, it's gonna work out. Like all of this is gonna happen, but just know that right here in this moment and just where you at today. Like what are you doing right now? you're getting off the train, you're getting on, like, you're just like right there. And before you
Yeah.
know it, you're all the way, you're at your destination, right? You're there already.
It's exactly that. It's exactly that. And again, I liken it to kind of this lost in the woods analogy. Like, you can't know the entire trail. All you know is the little piece ahead of you. And so trying to understand why the trail, 3 miles away, like what it looks like, you're wasting a lot of very precious energy on something that you just don't have any way to know yet. So instead, wouldn't it be great to just focus on, I don't know what's going to happen in 3 miles, but I certainly know what's going to happen in the next 100 feet. So I'll focus on that.
Yes, yes.
So,
It's hilarious. I'm laughing because we all have done this. Like, we all do that. Like,
yeah.
one of my greatest mentors said, why would you want to have all the ice cream that you're ever going to have in your whole life, like right now? Or do you like want to savor that, while you're in with this ice cream, with this bite, like just chill out and just let all that stuff come when it's supposed to and just enjoy that thing, like right here, the step you're in, the trail you're on, like, there's so much right there in front of you. It's practice. But with this with this practice, that's really makes the world of the difference, right?
So yeah, and let me talk about that, because why I'm teaching these two systems that I never even planned to, dedicate my life to, is because when I look back in retrospect and think, what was it that allowed me to get clear enough to decide, I am going to leave San Francisco, I am going to move. It was the breath work of Kundalini Yoga. It was like I breathed my way into clarity. And I'm very grateful for that, because I really enjoy the life that I have now. And it's, your breath is free. You don't have to buy any equipment. It's automatic. It's already happening. You can practice every day. You don't need to dedicate hours and hours and hours to this. And you can see improvement quickly. So it's something that, it's funny. It's so simple. It's so powerful. It's like the secret that's in plain sight that we just aren't looking at. So I want to kind of shine the light of awareness on the power of your breath to really change your life. And again, there's lots of different systems. I teach Kundalini Yoga. I think it's a great one because it's got structure, it's got a system. There are other, systems out there that are also great. So those just aren't the ones that I'm necessarily trained in. So
Yeah, and it's worked so great for you and so many others. So it's really helped with, okay, say we got the monkey mind and we made this goal, right? And we're like, oh, I want to have this, this pay like right now. I want to, whatever it is, I want to have it. But what you're saying, let's go ahead and let's use the breath, right? Let's use these tools to help us stop looking so far out there. Stop thinking about all the hows and the steps and that all, I got to do this thing now and drives us crazy. Come into the moment, come into the breath. And that, does that slow down the monkey mind? Does that start rewiring your mind?
So what it is, I mean, there's neuroplasticity in your brain. So your brain is neuropathways, and we all have ours. And if we want to change, you actually have to change the neuroplasticity of your brain. Mantra and breath work is a great way to do that. To get really, specific, the voice of your soul and the voice of your ego are different. The voice of your ego is jumping around. It's inconsistent. It's up and down. It wants this. It wants that. It's loud. It maybe is giving you harsh negative messages. That's your ego. That's useful, but that's not the one that we want, running the show. You want the voice of your soul. The only way you're going to hear the voice of your soul is if you can quiet that ego voice down. And that's this long, deep breathing. So if you can kind of master, like, okay, I see that my mind is starting to swirl around. That's my ego. My ego is probably not going to give me great decisions. I'm going to instead recognize, like, wow, I'm starting to get pretty anxious. Wow, the future feels really scary. What am I going to do? I'm not going to let myself waste a bunch of time and energy focusing on a future that I can't control. Instead, I'm going to come back to the present moment. I'm going to focus on my breath. I'm going to take 3 minutes of my day. Inhale for a count of 8, exhale for a count of 8, and just keep doing that. and you're going to watch your whole being feel more expansive. And that's what gives you the right information to make good decisions. Then suddenly you'll think, oh, okay, I lost my job because of COVID, but I remember someone saying they needed help. I'm going to, contact them because maybe like they're really busy right now, but whatever, like you'll find the answers are in your breath.
Yes, I love that you're just exposing powerful truths right now, because we're that infinite intelligence. We have this wisdom within us, and it's through quieting the monkey mind, the ego, the I don't know, whatever we want to call this, the brain, and shutting it down sometimes and really listening to our true self, our innate self. And we really can't do that if the ego is going wild and telling us, go there, what about this? Nope, that won't work. This won't work. All this stuff of trying to see the end
Yeah.
result already. But when that leaves and you
Yeah.
come in, the answers are there. All that is right
Yeah.
here, right? And that steers us in the most righteous path for us, right? I love that. I
Yeah,
love that.
and I had to really learn that. I mean, I was a very anxious person without even realizing I was anxious. So I thought like, okay, I'm going to get all this data and I'm going to figure out the right answer. I'm going to think my way into it. And it was kind of working, but I was not enjoying life very much. Then again, through the practice of Kundalini Yoga and the knowledge of my Enneagram, I started to be able to kind of read my body more and get okay, what's the information my body is giving me? And that was a whole different set of actually much more accurate information. So it's kind of both. You don't want to stop using your rational mind. That's also important. But if you can use it in conjunction with your intuitive being, suddenly, wow, you've got a powerhouse.
Yes, I love that. And the inner you, the calmer you, the more present you, long as that one's steering the ship, right? That one's kind of more dominant and taking lead. I think it's a beautiful balance. It'll be good.
Yeah.
I love this. Okay,
Yeah.
can you share with us I love miracle stories. I love stories on one of your clients that, was full of anxiety or stress or wherever, just all over the place. And then with integrating these practices, how's that person's life now?
Yeah, so I have a friend, a person who I've known for a long time, who is in the Enneagram. He's a type 9, which is the peacemaker. This is someone who has a gift at mediation, at getting along with other people, but has a really hard time with change. So this is someone who had a job that he wanted to quit for about 10 years. So he's in a job that he's clear he doesn't like, he'd like to quit it, and 10 years pass. And he starts to get really focused on like, my life is passing me up here. I want to quit. I want to go do other things. But he was kind of stuck. So first we did an Enneagram typing interview to confirm, okay, what's your baseline psychology? Where's your habit of attention taking you? Nines like to merge. Their mind overemphasizes all the reasons why a change is a bad idea. Like this is just what the psychology does. So we identified, okay, that's happening. Then we kind of applied the Kundalini Yoga prescription, which is nines are the most powerful type when they step into their power. Your power center is your third chakra. So we had him doing a 4-exercise Kriya where he did that. He was building up energy. He's getting closer and closer. Then he comes to one of my yoga retreats here in Greece, and he's about to quit. Like he's really, really close. He leaves. He's still stuck. He calls me, and I say, okay, again, this baby step idea. I said, I know quitting seems like a big deal. Write your resignation letter. You don't even have to send it. Just write it, and we're going to talk again in a week. When we talked the next week, he had written it, he had sent it, he had booked his around the world. I mean, it worked. And again, this is all coming from him. Like this isn't that I did anything. It's not even that the yoga retreat did anything. It came from inside him. But he used the tools, and he used like, okay, I know my mental, habit of attention. I've gotten my body so it can handle this stressful environment because quitting is hard. And I'm going to take that first baby step. And what I find time and time again, it's like people just need that push. When they take that first baby step, then they start walking. Like they've been wanting to walk for so long. That first step after, they're off. They don't, there they go. So this was a great story. Yeah, I mean, it's just been beautiful to watch him get what he wanted out of life. So.
Yes. That is so incredible. You think about, his life, and I think about so many others where we stay in things for decades, sometimes even in relationships, all sorts of things. We just stay for so long, and you start feeling that way, like I'm wasting life. Like, where's my life going? All of this, you're just kind of stuck in this pattern. But like that bird that's in the nest, and then all of a sudden, when they spread their wings a little bit, and you notice in your practice when they jump, they catch wind somehow and they're just soaring through those baby steps, right? They're just like, but just doing it, like push them, push
Yeah,
off, and then there you go. Wow,
yeah.
that's incredible. That is beautiful work. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Now, could you give us you already gave us some really cool tips, but if you can give us a couple more little baby steps, there's things we can do right now, say wherever we are, we're sitting here right now, some things we can do to calm down that
Yeah,
monkey mind of wanting it all and
yeah.
embrace here.
Yeah, and it's funny. The Enneagram would say there's monkey mind, and there's the mind that wants to control everything, and the mind that wants to help it. Like there's all these different minds. So monkey mind is one of them.
Yeah.
Everyone right now is feeling a lot of pressure. Just the time, it's a pandemic, it's a presidential election that's in the balance. It's a very difficult time right now for everybody, regardless of your Enneagram type. What I do is I've mapped specific Kundalini Yoga meditations to each Enneagram type, but what I'm going to share with you now is one that kind of is great for everybody. It's for stress relief and to clear emotions from the past. So you'll take your fingers and just press all of the fingertips together. And then you bring that to your heart center, which is a little bit lower. So the heart center is not up where your heart is, it's a bit lower. You'll hold that, and I'll just invite you to go ahead and close down your eyes. I'll keep count for you, but we'll just do this for a minute. You're going to inhale for 5 seconds, hold your breath for 5 seconds, and then exhale for 5 seconds. And what this is going to do is actually change your thinking. So you will become calmer, clearer in your thinking, and you'll feel more positive and more expansive. So I'll have you just go ahead and inhale. Hold the breath. Exhale. Inhale. Hold the breath. Exhale through the nose. Inhale through the nose. Hold the breath. Exhale through the nose. Final round, inhale. Hold. Exhale. Then inhale, gently drop your hands down into your lap. Just take a few long, deep breaths through your nose. Just try to feel the energy circulating through your body. Try to notice your breath. Whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. So I call that my stress relief pill, and what I actually recommend is you do it for 3 to 5 minutes. And like everybody, I was having a lot of unexpected change at the beginning of lockdown. I was doing it 3 and 4 times a day, and it was changing everything. It was making a huge difference for me. So again, this is your own breath. You don't need equipment. I do it on a timer, but you can even count yourself, hold, inhale 5, hold 5, exhale 5. You can count it. Just this simple practice can actually put you in touch with your higher self, can quiet down your ego, and can help you make better decisions, which we really all need right now. It's a difficult time. It's going to be like this for a while still. And it's always nice, even when things are going great, make good decisions, stay in touch with your higher self. I mean, it's just a much easier existence, a much more enjoyable existence. So.
Absolutely. That's so, I think like you're saying earlier, we kind of not just discredit, but we don't think about the power that we have, the power of this automatic force in our body, which is the breath. And just doing that, like you said, it will rewire your mind. It would slowly start to take away the whatever crazy wild mind we call it of all or nothing. And when you come in here, you have no choice, right? But to just be in that baby step, be where you are with through that breath. And so you call it the stress pill. I love that stress pill. So we need to call it. And
I actually have a part of my website that's called the Yoga Pharmacy. It's for different things. This is the green pill for stress. So yeah, that's definitely. And just to talk for a minute about kind of the baby step and how do you know this is working? So again, I was working in a professional environment and I was doing yoga on the side. And I remember once very vividly, I had had a meeting and it had not gone well. It was stressful. Something had gone wrong. And I was walking back to my office and my body just took a long, deep breath by itself. It was like I was starting to get contracted and just the body knew like, oh, that's what's happening. Let's calm you down. And I remember thinking like, oh, what just happened? And it was almost like, that was when I think the wiring was starting to work. Like my brain just knew when you get stressed, breathe deeply. Those two go together. And suddenly now you're having this expansive experience. Now you're making good choices. Now you're not reacting, you're acting. It's different. So.
wow, that's so, and when you said that, I think a lot of us were agreeing, like, that's happened to us before, very naturally, where we're just in this fight or flight mode of whatever, or in this place of tense, and then we kind of just take that deep breath, and you can start to feel the natural chemicals of endorphins and good things flowing through our body just by getting oxygen, like adequate amount.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah,
even
it's
spiritual
true.
practice. It's like oxygen, like it's everything, right? Like
And I'll just talk for a minute for anybody out there who's an athlete who is watching. This will actually improve your athletic performance. So I was shocked to find, like, I am doing beach volleyball, and I can keep up easily with people who are 20 years younger than me because my breath is so powerful. I just don't get tired, right? So like if you're an athlete and you want to actually see your performance improve, do some breath work. Like it is amazing how it affects positively every element of your life. It's great. So not just work, but kind of all the things that you're doing. So
yes. Okay, what do you recommend for us? Prescribe, if someone's going through it a lot, say we're just stressing a lot, we're a lot in the mind, a lot in the how, all or nothing. How often should we be doing this breath work?
it's really consistency is the thing. So I say every single day, but my minimum is when I'm working with someone, I set a 3-minute minimum. So all I ask is you give me 3 minutes a day, but I ask that you give me 3 minutes a day, 40 days in a row. And that's surprisingly hard because like, it's easy to like suddenly, we're at the end of the day and I didn't do my practice. So I work with a lot of people and we start them on 40-day programs. It can be as little as 3 minutes a day, depending on what you're trying to do. It can also be more. And what I usually do is I couple a meditation, which is the 3-minute piece, with a Kundalini Yoga Kriya. Kundalini Yoga is really specific. So there are thousands of Kriyas for thousands of different effects. So if you're depressed, if you've got a liver problem, if you want glowing skin, there are Kriyas for everything. So we kind of figure out, what are you trying to do? How much time do you have? How can we make those two things work together? So yeah.
This is so phenomenal. Like, I'm loving everything you're saying. I'm like, I just want to know more. But I know our time is limited here. So could you, Lynn, give us I'm so excited. You're giving a phenomenal free gift away, and it's in a short amount of time. So I wanted to lay it on us. What are you giving away?
I'm giving away the digital copy of my first book, which is called Head Start for Happiness, and it's a guidebook combining Kundalini Yoga and the Enneagram. I wrote it with the idea, I live here in Athens, Greece, and I wrote it trying to make it accessible. So if you were someone who worked at a Greek gas station, you would be able to pick up the book and read it and understand what was happening. So I tried to make it accessible for everybody. It walks you through an introduction to the Enneagram. It walks you through an introduction to Kundalini Yoga. And I also have a YouTube channel and a matrix. So all of the Kriyas and meditations that are in the book, you can go to YouTube and you can follow those on YouTube. So if you see one, you're like, oh, I know I'm an Enneagram type 7, I've got monkey mind, I want to do the caliber of life meditation, but it's hard to like follow in the book, you can go to YouTube and just follow the video. So, so I'm giving that away. I would love it if everyone reads it. If you take it, please feel free to share it with other people. I'm really passionate. I think this information can change lives for the better. I wrote it to get it out there. So the more people who can have access to this information, the better for the world, I think. So thank you for giving me this opportunity to give it away. I really appreciate it.
Yes, 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 absolutely. Thank you so much for this phenomenal gift. I'm getting mine. You guys get yours. And we got to jump on it very soon. So I think, are you offering this for just 24 hours, was it? Is that how long you can leave it live? Is that what it was?
Yeah, we'll do a 48-hour one just because with the time zone differences and everything, I don't want someone to feel like 48 hours. Yeah, like that should cover it. And what I'll do is just send a link and then the coupon code. The coupon code is going to be happy. So if you go to the link and then just put in Be Happy, you can download it for free. And I'll also say if anybody reads the book and finds that they're confused about their Enneagram types, I do Enneagram typing interviews on a sliding scale. So, and what that is it's where you and I work together and I interview you for, usually they take between 60 and 90 minutes. I walk you through a series of questions to help you uncover your type. It can be a pretty effective and fun and quick way to learn your type. A lot of times people spend, they're buying books and reading and comparing and thinking, and sometimes an interview can just get faster to it. Some people try to take online tests, and I'm not opposed to that, but I've found that the online tests are talking about behavior, whereas the Enneagram is actually about motivation. So sometimes there can be mistypings just because of that distinction. So just to keep that in mind.
I get that. I see that. Okay, so I'm going to recap all this loveliness. There's so much good coming. So, in this email, you guys, where you actually found this video, there will be the link to how you can get this free gift, and the code will be there. It's going to be Happy, so you'll know where, when you add that in the cart, you'll add this code and you get it for free, but it's going to be in 48 hours. So I'll have it bold lit up there. You guys know when you can get this thing. And also she does sliding scales. Sliding scales, you'll work out. If you're wanting more information, you want that professional there by your side to really clear things up and get that number for you. She'll do the sliding scale for you. So how about just mention Happiness Recipe Summit in an email to her or something, and she'll know, and you guys will work that out personally one-on-one. That's such a beautiful heart's gift. Thank you so much, Lynn, for all of your love and energy and wisdom in this transformation, in this soup, in this happiness soup. I love the ingredients. That was perfect, you guys. And so thank you, Lynn.
Thank you.
And then thank you guys for watching, spending your time here, embracing this demo and this information. I hope it was transformational for you too. And if you love this ingredients, stay tuned for the next powerful powerhouse as well. And I'll see you guys soon. Keep smiling.